guys, welcome back to Bridging the Gap. It's Cinnamon, and today I'm gonna take you through another topic that I've been kind of wanting to discuss for a while now, but it's not really that mainstream. No, that's a lie. It's definitely a mainstream topic, but it's also like pretty controversial from what I've heard. So I guess I've kind of been holding off on like really doing a deep dive into it. But basically, I think we all know what AI is, right? Artificial intelligence. People it's starting to gain more prominence now, but I think something that people forget is that it's been kind of developing for a long time now, like years and years. But it'd also be stupid to deny how much of an impact it has on today's society, like right now, compared to how it did literally just 5 years ago. Like, I think as students especially, we can see a big difference in the way that we approach our learning and how we're utilizing AI and how it's kind of impacting us and our learning. So I think it'd be kind of nice to do a deep dive into that today. This podcast won't be too long. There's a lot to cover on AI, of course, but since there's like kind of a controversial topic, I'm gonna cover it from a student's perspective mostly, so you guys can kind of get how we think about it and how we use it and what we think are the pros and benefits behind it. So yeah, that's gonna be our topic today, AI. To begin with, there's AI obviously in a lot of different things and a lot of different companies. Nowadays especially, AI is like a crucial part of them. For example, like literally my dad, he works with AI a lot, and he didn't a few years ago comparatively, so kind of interesting seeing that change and how it's manifested in companies. But in terms of education, the main tools that I see being used is obviously ChatGPT. ChatGPT can be a great resource, of course, but once you start getting into the intricacies of how it can be used, like cheating on assignments, that's where it gets really blurry, and the line between like using it as a resource versus using it as something that you're not supposed to use it during can get really blurry. But yeah, let's get right to it. To start off with some good things about AI, first of all, in education. Obviously, when you use it for good things, it can save teachers time with lesson planning and grading. So I'm not just thinking about it from my perspective as a student, but if you're going to think about it in education as a whole, you do have to admit that when AI is really easy to work with. You just give it a bunch of factors and variables and it can plan out a lot for you. So in terms of that, yeah, it can save teachers time in terms of lesson planning. I do, however, don't think it's the best idea for grading, especially in more intricate classes like maybe an English class where everything is so much up to interpretation, and it's just not fair for students to leave that up to AI, of course, when it's the teacher's job. And you can always contest things with teachers, but it's harder to do so with AI. So I believe that while it should kind of stay away from grading, I think one big benefit of AI is that it can help teachers a lot with lesson planning. It also, in terms of student help, it can provide personalized help for students. Like nowadays, text-to-speech tools have always been there, but I think it's being taken to a new level with AI, and there's also AI tutors now. So I think those things can help a lot. Like even if you step away from like AI that's like specifically for tutoring, even stuff like ChatGPT, as I mentioned earlier, can help a lot in just explaining a concept. So I think that personalized help has actually helped me a lot, because I cannot even begin to tell you the amount of times a math concept or a chemistry concept has confused me in school, and I turn to AI for help. I think it's really convenient because all you have to do is plug in a few questions and it generates like a really good response for you, and it's not always in the science terms that you find. It can be like really generalized, and it can explain it to you in a really simple way that makes you really understand and grasp what you're talking about. So I think in terms of that also, that's like another big benefit of AI. It really does provide personalized help, and it dumbs it down. This is a harsh way to say it, but it does dumb it down enough to the point where you can understand it a lot more too. And I think another benefit of AI that I see less people talking about, but I still think that it's important and it should be talked about, is that it makes learning more accessible. I've seen recently a lot of people on social media, especially who have disabilities Or for ESL learners, apparently AI has been a game changer for these people, and they're able to share this on social media. I don't know much about this, but I have heard that it makes it so much easier to plan and talk to it, because a lot of people in real life who are working with these people, they don't know how to act, or they don't know how to help them in the way that they can best understand things, and sometimes AI is just a lot easier to work with. So I completely understand that perspective too. So I think that's definitely also a big benefit, but I do think it's one less looked at. So if we want to just kind of overarch the benefits a little bit, the main things is that it saves teachers time with lesson planning, not grading, and it provides personal help for students, and it also makes learning more accessible for ESL learners and students with disabilities, as we've heard. Now, to anything, there's good and bad sides. So while there are benefits, there are a lot of concerns, and these concerns are extremely valid. So the first thing, the most obvious thing that comes to your mind when you think of AI and students is cheating. And there's also plagiarism that comes with that cheating. Obviously, that's a huge problem. I know there's a lot of websites and programs out there like AI detectors, and they basically have tools where they kind of detect a given text or like a piece of information, and they look for certain tells that AI software is known to have, and based off of the kind of like a rubric that it goes through, it'll tell you how likely it is to be AI generated or how much of it is AI generated. And I know that there are tools like that, but I mean, come on, you change a few words and the accuracy decreases. So that thing is not always reliable to use as an AI detector. So because of that, a lot of students that I've seen, and I'm saying this because I've seen people do this, I've never done it personally just because I never felt the need to, but I have seen people using that as an easier way to cheat, since, you know, changing a few words here and there in an essay can make it completely undetectable through the AI, like such as Turnitin, for example. So that's definitely not a good thing. I mean, people are kind of taking the easy way out there. And there's also data privacy. That's a huge thing. Like, who owns this data? How are they looking into you? And I completely understand this, because for me at least, what I used for AI earlier, I used ChatGPT to kind of calculate the amount of calories I burned in a workout once, just to make sure that I was staying within my maintenance calories. And for that, you know, I had to give him my height, my weight, my gender, my age, and like a bunch of things like this. And obviously, you know, there's like a data privacy issue there. Me personally, I don't care because I'm not that relevant, but I know other people definitely have full valid reasons for caring. So when you give this kind of information to AI, obviously it's scary because we know that there's still a person behind the screen that invented this code. So it's a little weird sometimes knowing that these people could all easily log in and see a lot of your personal life, because you end up giving a lot of it away when you search with AI engines, whether you realize it or not. So that's definitely scary, but you know, there's that. So there's data privacy is also another big concern, along with the cheating issue. And this is also another thing that we've been seeing is job displacement. And it's not just for what you think. It's not just like IT or computer fields. There's also fear that AI is going to take over the jobs of educators as well, and even those who work in healthcare and medicine. So job displacement is obviously a big worry because, you know, everyone is just trying to survive in this world, and when you lose more and more jobs because of artificial intelligence of all things, it can be really hard to keep yourself afloat amidst harder times. So I also completely see why. I think that's a valid reason to be worried about as well. And it stands as just like kind of another reason why people are worried about AI and all its potential impacts and all the different learning curves that kind of comes with it. But yeah, that's just another concern. Now, this is one that I see less talked about. Actually, I don't think I've seen it talked at all recently, but one big concern that I've seen after researching a bit is equity. Not all schools have access to AI tools, and you know, that totally makes sense depending on where you're located, especially. I mean, if you're in the rich cities, obviously you're gonna have an easier time accessing resources like AI compared to more rural areas. And what I've been seeing some people say is that there's an equity issue here, since AI, there's obviously concerns, but no one can deny that it's a powerful tool and it can help students learn a lot. So when you think of it like that and you see all the rich, I don't want to keep saying the word rich, when you see the more privileged districts and school districts who have the chance to give this offer of or opportunity of AI to their students, there is a issue with finding balance for educational opportunities there as compared to more rural districts who might not have the same advantages. And that can be contested. I mean, at the end of the day, you want to, if you're working in a school district and you see that they have the opportunity to utilize AI in a good and constructive way, you wouldn't want to take that away just because there's another school district who may not have the same opportunity as you. And that kind of works with a lot of different things, but I guess it's definitely, I can see why it's a concern. That equity would definitely be a big issue later on, perhaps, because it really contributes to the overall quality of education that a child is receiving. And if I were a parent or a guardian, or even if I was a student myself, I think that would definitely be something that you need to consider. So overall, the concerns mostly focus around the issue of cheating and plagiarism. It focuses around data privacy. There is job displacement fears, and there's also equity. So those are the main concerns I see. So now we went over the benefits, we went over the concerns, and yeah, I mean, my teacher personally, my A-push teacher this year, she hates ChatGPT. She hates it for another reason that you might not think, though. And this is something I'm going to bring up that kind of goes with the concerns. ChatGPT actually wastes an insane amount of water. And I know you're thinking maybe it's an AI engine. How does it waste water? How is it bad for the environment? Well, there's actually a full breakdown for this. So the thing is, when you're running so many engines and systems and so many people are using AI at the same time, the systems that are being used to run it heat up. I mean, we've all experienced it, right? Maybe you're on your MacBook one day, it's a lot of tabs are open, you're using it a lot, so it heats up. Your laptop heats up, you have to give it a second to cool down again before you can use it, right? We're using that same logic here. These data centers where ChatGPT is being ran, they use really large amounts of water to cool down these servers. Because think about it, I mean, almost everybody uses ChatGPT on a daily, hourly, minute basis, right? They can't just back up and wait for the servers to cool down like we do with our MacBooks when they get too warm. They can't do that because they have a business to run, and it's going to cause a lot of problems, and a lot of people are going to complain. So they need to use water to cool down these massive servers, because these servers generate a lot of heat during the AI computations. And then a significant portion of this water that they use gets evaporated. It's not reusable, because when you use this water to heat something down, obviously it's not going to be reusable, it's going to get evaporated. And this overall contributes to water loss, and that's kind of the main environmental concern that people are having with ChatGPT, or my A-push teacher specifically. So for a detailed breakdown, ChatGPT basically runs on these powerful servers, and these servers are housed in data centers. And because of the constant cooling that there's needed to prevent overheating, water is used through cooling towers to kind of cool them down. And when water is used for cooling, a portion of it obviously evaporates into the air, so it disappears from the system. So the water use estimate I'm seeing here that I wrote down is, I'm just going to read it for you. Early research suggests that 5 to 50 ChatGPT requests might use approximately 500 milliliters of water, according to a study by the University of California, Riverside. And another more recent study by the Washington Post reported that a single ChatGPT query uses about 500 milliliters of water, which is while a similar amount of water is used for every 100-word request. Those are big numbers, okay? If you want to put it into perspective, I mean, 500 milliliters of water, that's not a joke. To 500 milliliters is basically half a liter. Dude, if that's wrong, this is gonna be so embarrassing. Okay, I'm not kidding. I literally had to go fact check that because I was not about to risk being wrong on that. Holy crap. But yeah, 500 milliliters is half a liter. So every time you're making a 100-word query or request in ChatGPT and then 100-word, you're literally wasting half a liter of water. So there's obviously big environmental concerns about AI and specifically ChatGPT, since that's what this research is talking about. But that's definitely something that's overlooked that I think needs to be talked about more, because our environment isn't a joke, and I don't think we should ever be playing around with that, especially with how bad things have gone recently. So, there's that. And when you have so many cons and so many benefits, it's kind of hard when you need to be thinking about moving forward and kind of what's next and how we should use AI effectively going forward. And this brings a lot of different things into the conversation, a lot of different things that people may not have originally thought about when deciding to use AI or implement it in education systems. So going back to that, I'm going to use a term that, I don't really expect a lot of people to know this term because I didn't even know it before I started researching. It's teaching students in schools specifically AI literacy. Now, I know that sounds a little bit weird because, what is AI literacy? I know people have probably heard of media literacy, and that's kind of how to act and how to interpret information that you're given online. Now, AI literacy is kind of similar. It's the ability to understand, use, monitor, and kind of use your critical thinking when working with AI applications. It's really focused on having skills and knowledge to kind of work around AI and how to use it. Because in this world where we are rapidly using AI to develop, not just in education, and I'm not speaking just from a student perspective, it's undeniable that AI has become a part of our daily lives now, and it's not going away anytime soon either. So I think AI literacy is really helpful in kind of navigating a world that's increasingly including AI and kind of everything we're doing, and it's honestly kind of getting shaped by AI at this point. So it's really crucial at a time like this especially that we're being responsible and effective when engaging with different AI systems, because there's a side to everything, and I believe, not just me, a lot of people believe that as long as we're safe about it and how we go about it and how we approach it, then AI can be a really wonderful tool, and that it can be really beneficial for us in progressing forward. But if we can't do that, then I think it's a privilege that we haven't proven yet to have. So AI literacy is a huge thing that I see that's being talked about online, and just in person too. I've had so many in-person conversations with my friends and my peers and even my teachers about AI and its uses. So I think that AI literacy is something that's pretty commonly agreed on by everyone, because you're not gonna go, it's kind of like media literacy. You're not gonna go up to someone and just be like, yeah, I think media literacy is stupid, I think it's not helpful at all, and I think it's going to endanger people. No, AI literacy is the smartest thing you can do. It's smart to keep you and yourself safe, and it's just how you can be more responsible and kind of navigate a world. So if we're going to continue using AI, which we definitely will be, because that's definitely not going away anytime soon, AI literacy is definitely really important, and it should be taught at all levels, not just school, even though I definitely see it more from a student perspective. It should also be taught in companies that are actively using AI to develop. Because after ChatGPT skyrocketed, there's been a lot of other apps and tools and websites that have also grown in popularity. Kind of like PepGPT, there's been Gemini, there's been Deep AI, there's a lot of different examples. AI literacy is really important at all levels of the ladder of life, if you will, so that's really important. And the role of teachers especially is also really important. I'm going to focus more on schools specifically, but the role of teachers is important in terms of they're not just content deliverers. They're not just delivering you what AI is and telling you to use it. They really need to help in guiding it, because again, that's kind of where that AI literacy stuff that I was talking about earlier comes in action. Teachers are a really big part of our society today, okay? It's not just in terms of this, but in terms of literally everything, whether that be teaching your kid math, teaching them how to add fractions, or teaching them how atoms split, okay? It doesn't matter what level you're at, teachers are important, and as different levels of education ranging from literally kindergarten to, maybe not kindergarten, but a low level all the way to literally like college level and grad school level, teachers also need to be well versed in AI enough to not just point a student towards it when they need help, but to guide them through it, because that is exactly how AI literacy is learned and spread. And that's how we can learn to keep productively using AI and use it as the tool that it's meant to be, instead of a weapon or something that it's definitely not supposed to be used for. And that difference makes all the difference, if that makes sense. So that should definitely be something to look out for. So obviously, all this being said, AI is not replacing teachers, okay? AI will not, and I hope they won't replace teachers. It's not easy to give a definitive statement and say that they won't, but I really hope that they don't. Because as far as I know, teachers are so important to this levels of education and development and nurturing in a child, that's just the AI cannot provide that same warmth and quality of education. And of course, we need teachers to teach kids about AI. It's not AI teaching kids and then people just coming in between. That's not how it works. So all that considered, AI is not going to replace teachers, but teachers who use AI can have a pretty high likelihood of replacing teachers who don't use AI. Because again, in this modern world, everything is developing pretty fast, and we all agree that AI is not going anywhere anytime soon. And honestly, we probably don't want it to be, because considering how revolutionary it has been in recent developments. So while AI is not going to completely take the role of a teacher away, AI is definitely going to be a pretty good helping tool for them. And any teachers who are kind of less willing to admit that and go through with that, I think are going to have a lot harder time kind of providing the same quality education to students. I'm not saying it's impossible, because obviously teachers have provided a good quality education for students without AI for decades, years, centuries now. But I mean, when you do have the option of AI there, and there are a lot of different pieces of evidence that clearly point towards its good use and like its benefits and its positives, then a teacher with AI is obviously, not to sound cruel, but a teacher with AI is going to be a lot more useful and valuable than a teacher that without AI. So honestly, even though it's not expected, it's those small differences at the end of the day that really make the big impact in terms of educational quality, teaching content, teaching styles, and whatever, all those things. So those things are definitely not something that can just be ignored. That's AI and teachers, who would have thought? They make a powerful combination. So all that being said, there's a lot that we've talked about in this podcast so far. There's the obvious benefits that we talked about, which obviously, let me just make a quick disclaimer. I know that the benefits and cons are much more nuanced than this, but I just wanted to give, and also much more descriptive, and there's so many more, but I wanted to give like an overall kind of view and look into what a student is thinking of all these perspectives, because I don't think anyone actually noticed it. People, and old people especially, are the first people to call us out on our generation being lazy and stupid and using AI for everything. But yeah, a lot of people haven't really been hearing out the student perspective on this, so I'm kind of glad I got to touch on that. But anyway, I'm going to do a quick review of everything that we've talked about, because I think it's going to be really helpful to kind of wrap up this conversation and really help you guys, my listeners, understand where I'm coming from with this. So if we're going to start with the benefits again, like I mentioned, obviously it saves teachers time. And as I emphasized before, it saves them time in lesson planning, not grading. I do not think that AI is a good use in helping grade students' work or their papers or whatever. So AI does save teachers time in lesson planning, obviously a good benefit. Another benefit that we discussed is that it provides personalized help for students. Like, there's a lot of AI tutors out there, and it's also helpful for when you want answers at when you're a night owl like me and you do all your studying at 2 to 3 a.m. in the morning. AI is a really good tool for help when you don't want to send your teacher an email at 3 in the morning about something that you probably could have just Googled. So I think AI really helps on that, and it can help you understand better and really explain things to you in a way that no one else might have been able to. And that kind of relates to my next point, in which it makes learning more accessible. As people on social media have shared out, students with disabilities often find AI more comforting to turn to, and because AI is able to explain certain concepts or ideas in a way where they can understand that a traditional teacher or someone who is not well trained or even knowledgeable enough on the topic may know how to describe. So in terms of that, AI is definitely a benefit. So it saves teachers time in lesson planning, provides personalized help, and makes learning more accessible. And while these are really good and strong benefits, there's some obvious concerns that we went over in our time together as well. There's the cheating and plagiarism scandal. I mean, we've been hearing about that since literally the beginning of time, since AI was introduced in students and student classrooms. So there's the cheating and plagiarism, which isn't going to stop anytime soon, unfortunately. That's just the truth. And we can't deny it and pretend like it's not happening, because it's going to keep happening, and however sad it is. But yeah, it's definitely not something to ignore. There's also the issue of data privacy, because AI can end up analyzing a lot about you and your information just from analyzing how you've talked to it over the years or saving information. Like, I know ChatGPT has a feature where if you tell something and you tell it to save it in memory, it will save it in memory and it will bring that chat up later. And half the time, I've noticed it saves things in memories even when you don't ask it to. So there's a huge storage of your information in there, and you might not think that you gave out anything relevant or important, but later that can come bite you in the butt. So I guess it really just depends. So there's data privacy. Another is job displacement fears for educators. I think towards the end of this podcast, I kind of discussed and went over why I don't think that's a real possibility, and that I think AI will only enhance this is bad to say, but the value of certain teachers over the other. But job displacement has been a fear, not just for educators, but for all kinds of people across the board, whether that's in IT like you would expect it to be, or even healthcare. I know a lot of doctors even that have been talked about, a little scared for the future and what AI is bringing for them and their job security. So obviously there's that. And here's the lesser known topic that we talked about, which is equity, which is the fact that not all schools have access to AI tools, and that can make some students' education a little bit more higher quality than other students, which is not really something that we can control, as we stated before. I swear I'll connect this, but I'm sure a lot of parents have heard the phrase, if your friend dived off a cliff, would you do it too? If they jumped off, would you do it too? I'm gonna explain this, I swear to God. But it's basically me saying, just because some schools are not as well managed or as high quality, I don't think it's fair for other schools to not use these AI tools when it could really help their students. So it's if one school is doing bad, then I'm not going to make my school district do bad too just because they have less opportunities than me. That just doesn't really make sense. So while equity is definitely an issue in a broader context that I think needs to be applied more universally with a lot of other things before we get to the topic of AI, I don't think it's that big of a concern as compared to the other things on this list, but it is definitely something that needs to be mentioned because I haven't heard anyone talk about it. I think it's a really interesting thing to discuss, not just from the AI standpoint, but how people view equity and how that's distributed among schools. But yeah, AI literacy is really important. As I think I talked about a solid 5 minutes on just AI literacy, which really, I can't even stress enough how important it really is. How important teachers are as guides and not just delivering you instructions and content, and how these teachers are important on every level from education to literally corporate offices. It's just really important. And of course, goes with what I mentioned before, but AI does not replace teachers. Instead, it can kind of be used as a stepping stool for teachers to gain higher, I really hate using this word, higher value over other teachers who don't have AI, and it's just a powerful tool overall. So, I mean, that's kind of all I wanted to talk about. I'm glad that you guys were here with me today because AI is a really interesting topic, I think. And there's benefits and cons to everything, pros and cons, but it's really important to look at the overall picture and see. And it's also really important to understand that as a society, as we move forward, AI is really, I don't know how to emphasize this, it is not going anywhere. AI is always going to be relevant, and it's best that we learn to adapt to it and make sure that we don't get too carried away by it, and that we're still using it reasonably in a way that benefits us. So, I mean, if anyone's listening, then I implore you to think about this. What role do you think AI should play in your daily life, in your learning or teaching, even teaching experience, or even if at the corporate level, how you think AI should be utilized? If you want, you can share in the comments or whatever. I don't know. It's just a really good thing to get thinking about. I mean, as a citizen of this society, I think it's something that it's not a problem, but it's more so a topic of contention that we can't really ignore anymore. So, yeah, I mean, thank you guys so much for listening to me through this episode. It's been a while, since I've done one, and I mean, it feels nice to get back to it. So, thank you guys so much. Next week, you'll be seeing Barry again, and then you'll see Mittens after that, and then you'll see me again, Cinnamon. So, look forward to 3 weeks, and I'm back, guys. Thank you so much for listening to me literally ramble about AI for over 30 minutes, and I'll see you in a few weeks. Bye!